Once again, it's on. What's up, my good people? It's me, your boy Brian Redmond, and this is the Relationship Rehab. Got another one for you guys, and this is what I call the knowing what the power of truth can do for you, or knowing what it is. So, I got three quick things about the power of truth. And those three things, real quick, are truth hurts, truth helps, and truth heals. And I'm gonna hit them up real quick for you. So, truth hurts. Why does truth hurt? Because just us as people, we tend to not want to hear things about ourselves that are not good. You don't want to hear the bad things about your life. You don't want to hear the bad things about you as a person because we don't like to be criticized. We don't want someone to tell us what we're not doing right. We don't want somebody to tell us what we did that was wrong. So it's like we have that thing of just, we hate to be criticized. And when we are being criticized, it hurts our feelings. It makes us defensive. It makes us, agitated. It makes us feel like, somebody's attacking us. And when we get offended that way, we just do the natural reflex, which is to try to defend ourselves. Whether that's by just total deflection, whether that's by putting the blame on somebody else and not accepting the responsibility for that truth, or if it's just a simple fact of saying something as simple as, you just a hater. How many times do we hear that on the internet, on the text message, whatever? Everybody's always posting, all these haters out here. You can't have that many haters to where they all saying the same thing and you just can't accept the fact that they just might be right. So those are just the things that we do naturally as people. Myself guilty included. We hate to hear those things. However, those things that we do hear that aren't good, we need to be able to start taking those things and just accepting that, even though sometimes, small percentage of the time, those things may not be true that we're doing, but to somebody else, they could possibly be true because that could be their perception. So it's like the whole concept of your perception is your reality. That's very true. So when somebody tells you something, it's not necessarily for you to defend yourself and to say, well, that ain't me, or I ain't do that, or I ain't like that, and you just hating. It's not your quick, that shouldn't be your first reaction. Be that person to ask, well, why do you feel that way? Or what did I do to give you that impression? Because that may not have been my intent. You know what I'm saying? So when we do hear it though, and it is true, it does hurt. It hurts our feelings and we feel bad and we don't like to feel that way, plain and simple. Truth helps. Truth helps us because it helps us to realize where our faults are and our faults being essentially our greatest opportunities for improvement. Because once we can accept that truth, now we know what we need to work on and what we need to fix and what we need to, rehab. Yep, he put it together. I tied it all back in. What we need to rehab to make ourselves better. So it's like those are the things that we need to make sure that we are able to do, but we can't do that until we actually accept it. We actually have to embrace it and say, okay, this is what it is, this is what's going on, and now I need to be able to accept that fact and know that this is what the truth is. So part three, or number three, I should say, is truth heals. Truth heals because once you acknowledge the truth and you accept responsibility of that truth, now if you are in that position where you've accepted it, you've acknowledged it, and you know what it is, yeah, I did do that, or yes, I do that. Now you're in a position, and this is where the true magic can happen, where you're in a position where you can activate the process of change. And by doing that, you can say, hey, somebody said that maybe I joke too much, or I joke at the wrong time, or I don't listen enough, or man, this actually kind of sounds like myself. Yeah. Whatever, I'm accepting that though, right? Or whatever the case may be, whatever those things are, you can now take that opportunity to know what it is that's been said and take the emotion out of it and say, well, you know what can I do to actually change that? So if it's a thing to where somebody says, hey, you don't listen to me enough, you know what I'm saying? Then you take that part to say, well, let me activate the process of change and say, when this person is talking, I'm gonna make sure that I go out of my way to shut up longer. right? So it's like keeping your mouth shut. Not to say that you shouldn't say what's on your heart and express yourself, but be the person to say, you know what, let that person talk first. You tell me what's going on with you first. You know what I'm saying? So that you can hear that person more, because a lot of times too, in just that aspect alone, and I got something I'm doing on listening too, that's coming up. But when you listen to people, you can hear, and you can actually hear them and you can understand them. You can get so many questions answered just by listening to what that person's trying to tell you, or listening to that person telling you about a particular situation or a story, whatever the case may be. So always keep that in mind too. Make sure that whenever you hear something that you don't like about yourself, or somebody tells you something that you don't like to hear, or you may not agree with, take it and accept it for what it is, and then say, you know what can I do to change that? And if you can't come up with anything, ask that person. Say, you know what, say, hey, so I did this, or you say that I do this at times, or there are times when I make you feel this way. Tell me what it is that I can do to where I can actually not do that, or that'll help me to not do that. And that is another great way to activate change. Because once you can do that and you become the type of person to where, hey, you can hear that truth, you can hear what people are saying about you, and you can take that and say, you know what, let me see if I can do something to change that or to make that better. Not that it's gonna happen overnight, but you can start that process of changing who you are, because when you can do that, then you can actually become a better version of yourself. Oh man, did he just tie that back in? Yes, he did. He just brought all that right back around to the becoming better versions of yourself. Yes, I did that. But that's exactly what I mean. So just keep that in mind. You know, that truth that you hear, even though it may be offensive to you, it can also take you to a point to where you can get some good out of it. And if that's the case, even if you gotta hurt a little bit to get that good, to get that change, it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? It's worth it. We are all here to be the best versions of ourselves, and the only way we can do that is we have to be able to accept responsibility and accept accountability of what it is that we're doing, and then change it. It's just that simple. Well, it ain't simple, but it sounds that simple, but it's definitely hard work. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I love y'all. I appreciate all the support and all of the love I've been getting. Keep the questions coming. Hit me up on the Secret Garden on my website. That's www.therelationshiprehab.com. I'm loving this. This is so exciting. It's so fulfilling. I'm enjoying you guys. Man, thank you for being a part of this wonderful experience. I'm your boy, Brian Rettner.